Hey everybody, welcome back to Prescription Bourbon. I'm DMC from Louisville, Kentucky. Today I'm going to be tasting some sherry, cognac, and or Armagnac finished bourbon whiskeys. So these were a few bottles that I had opened and sitting around, and I figured I'll just put them up head to head against each other and see how they come out. They're not exactly evenly paired up, but I think they're close enough to where, hopefully we'll get some good results. All right, so first bottle I have here is Joseph Magnus Triple Cask Finished Bourbon Whiskey, and this comes in at 100 proof. It's finished in PX Sherry, Oloroso Sherry, and Cognac casks. It says it's distilled in Indiana and Kentucky, so it is believed to have MGP distillate and Barton distillate in it. So, like I say, it comes in at 100 proof. Next up, I have the Doc Swinson's Triple Cask Finished Bourbon Whiskey. This is also finished in PX Sherry, Oloroso Sherry, and Cognac casks. This comes in at 95.8 proof, and it says it's distilled in Indiana only, so this is all MGP distillate. And the last one I have here is the J. Henry Flamme Reserve, which is a Wisconsin bourbon whiskey finished in Armagnac casks. So this starts out as their flagship 4-grain whiskey, which has both rye and wheat in the mash bill. It's secondary aged in Armagnac casks and comes in at cask strength 113.5 proof. This does have a 5-year age statement on it, so this is the only one with an age statement. The other ones are probably not far behind. They're at least 4 years old, and this one may be closer to 6 with the aging. I'll get into some more history on these a little bit more after I go through and do some tasting just in the middle of this review. Let's get started with the tasting. And before we do, I want to remind everybody, hit that like button for watching the video. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. That way you won't miss any content, and you can keep up on what's being reviewed. I've got these poured already. These are mixed up in a random order. I just have the caps covered. There's one of my Prescription Bourbon Challenge coins. Fits nicely on a Glen, but that keeps some of the aromas in there so the nose can build up. But I'm going to go through, call this A, B, C, D, and like I say, these are a random order, so they're not necessarily the order that the bottles are in over here. So don't know which one's which. Give glass A a nose. All right, A's not coming off real strong on the nose. I can smell some oak in there. I can smell a little bit of like a dark caramel. Some sort of a dark fruit there also, like a date or a fig perhaps. So kind of light on the nose, not as potent as you might think it would be. Glass B on the nose. All right, this has a more prevalent nose, a little fruitier on the forefront there. Little hint of some bread there. It's not a fresh baked bread or a baked bread smell. It's more of a dessert bread or almost like a cake bread, like something that would be like a raisin bread, banana bread, something like that. But it's not banana at all. I could go with raisin perhaps. Glass C on the nose. This one's not coming off real strong either. But I would say it's a little nutty on the nose. So interesting. Yeah, there's some kind of fruit there also, but I would say a little nutty. This one was a little fruit bready. And this one was oak caramel with some dark fruit also. So they all had some fruit. We've got 2 of these that are finished in a couple sherries, and sherry is a fortified wine, which is definitely fruit forward generally. and sometimes considered a dessert wine even. So there's definitely going to be some of that sherry influence imparted in these. These two are Cognac, and this one's Armagnac also, which Cognac and Armagnac are very similar to each other. They're both brandies, which is basically a spirit distilled from wine or from fortified grapes. So just that comes in from different regions of France. So obviously there's the Cognac region, there's the Armagnac region. So very much like Champagne has its own region. But Cognac is pot distilled, and it's twice distilled. And that typically comes off the still at a fairly high proof. So those are going to be watered down when they go into the cask. Armagnac is column distilled, and it typically comes off at a slightly lower proof, and a lot of times just goes into casks at near distillation proof. So not that matters. The proof points are what they are right now. So Cognac is made from only one specific type of grape, and Armagnac is can be made from a handful of select grapes, one of which is the same one that Cognac's made with. And a lot of Armagnac is made with that same grape, but it can be made with a few other types of grapes. So. All right, let's go ahead and give these a taste. Glass A, cheers. Interesting. I got more vanilla than fruit on that. It did immediately go to a spice, a cinnamon spice on the palate, and a good warmth on the tongue, good warmth going down the throat there. So the spice is lingering. It's got a good mouthfeel, a good medium viscosity there, and it's still the finish is still going. So it's got a good viscosity, good spicy long finish. So very nice. All right, let's give Glass B a taste. Cheers. All right, B's definitely not as warm as A was. It does have a good fruit on the finish. It comes out there. It's got some sweet up front. It's got some cinnamon spice. It does have some fruit on the finish there. Like I say, not as warm as A was. So very, very well rounded all the way around. Got the sweet, the cinnamon, the fruit finish there. It's not as long a finish as A was. It's a nice medium finish on that though. And the spice does pick up as the finish tails off there. Very, very well rounded sip there. So nice. All right, let's go ahead and give Glass C a taste. Cheers. All right, so C had a little fruit up front, a little sweet up front, less sweet than B was. It went into a cinnamon spice also, so all three of these went to a cinnamon spice. This one though definitely went to oak on the finish there though. Went to a little bit of drying oak, something I didn't get on the other two. So I think its finish was as short as B for sure, and the spice and all the flavors pretty much died off and tailed off with an oaky dryness. So not a bad sip, but on first pass, I'm thinking it wasn't as nice as A and B. So all right, I'm gonna go back through and taste these again in reverse order, but talk about these bottles a little bit more one more time. One thing I want to point out is the Joseph Magnus. That this brand was originated back in the 1800s in Cincinnati, and it grew or it was popular in the Cincinnati area, and it basically I think died at Prohibition. Fast forward 80 or so years later, and a distant relative of the original distiller owner reestablished the brand. I think it was in 2015, and in the Washington D.C. area. They made it there until 2019, and then moved it to Michigan. So it's located out of Michigan right now. And the master blender for Joseph Magnus is Nancy Fraley. Now, she's famous in the whiskey industry, and her nickname's Nancy the Nose Fraley. So she's got an amazing nose, great palate, and has helped a lot of distilleries get off the ground. So one of her most popular bourbons that she does is with Joseph Magnus, and it's the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. And it's just an amped up version of this triple cask. It's higher proof, older, just more depth of flavor and all that. So, they also, in between this and the cigar blend, they also have the Murray Hill Club, which is blended with a little bit of light whiskey. So it gives it a little bit different characteristics and all, but still a great pour. Jump over here to the J. Henry, and J. Henry is, this Flamme Reserve is also blended by Nancy Fraley. So I mentioned she works for a lot of distilleries. She helped, I believe, get Iron Root off the ground down in Texas. No longer blends for them. She still blends for Still Austin down in Texas. She's been blending for Wyoming whiskey since 2014. J. Henry for the last 8 years. Joseph Magnus. There's a handful of others. I think there's a Virginia Distilling Company, St. Augustine Distilling Company. Might have done some for Smooth Ambler. So, she's all around the industry. Now, in October 2023, just this past month, she basically stepped aside at both J. Henry and Wyoming whiskey. So she passed the master distiller baton on to Joe Henry, which is one of the and sons of the J. Henry and Sons. So he's been studying under her for the last 8 years. So he's taken over. And she'd been at Wyoming whiskey for 10 years, and she stepped aside there also this past month. So, interesting to see where that leads. And I said, as I mentioned, J. Henry was out of Wisconsin. The Doc Swinson is out of Washington State. So they've got a whole bunch of different experimental finishes and blends and stuff they've been doing. So they've got all kinds of different wines and rums and Cognac, all like I say, I think they've got some tequila, all these different types of finishes. They've got a bunch of experimental releases and all that. So some exciting stuff come out of Doc Swinson's. So I think they really hit it big a couple years ago. They had some really well aged MGP that they had gotten a hold of that was really some good stuff. Most of that stock has ran out at MGP. So these are now, younger MGP distillate, as it's happened across the industry. So, but still some interesting stuff coming out of Doc Swinson's. So. All right, go through and give a final tasting, final pass, and let you know how I rank these for today. So I'm going to go back to reverse order. Glass C. Cheers. Same as I believe I got the first pass. Some sweet, some fruit on the front, some cinnamon in the mid palate. Less than a medium finish, and it does finish with that oak drying and all that. So that's where that one sits. All right, glass B again. Cheers. It's a nice nose. That go around. Definitely immediately tell this was a little more viscous than C was. Sweeter on the front end there. The cinnamon spice hit faster, hit harder. The sweet is definitely a brown sugar sweetness. Not pulling a lot of fruit out of this. Perhaps it's there with the sweetness on the front side. Finish maybe longer than I thought the first pass. Still doesn't have a lot of warmth with it. Once again, though, I think it's a well-rounded sip. So definitely gonna put B in front of C in my rankings. So, all right, final taste with A. Cheers. This one, this one's definitely the warmest of the three. The spice is nice when it hits, and that lingers and lingers and lingers. Longest finish on this guy. Probably the most fruit forward also on this. Definitely get some fruit on the front end. You know, immediately turns to cinnamon spice, and then the whole you know, warmth in the mouth, warmth in the chest, and that just lingers. So it's a nice pour, nice sip. Yeah, with that cleansed my palate, and going back to B, I get some fruit on this, more fruit than I got the last time, and I definitely got a lot more spice. Very, very spicy. The cinnamon is just a cinnamon red hot on it. I wouldn't say it's warm though or anything. So as far as is the heat level, or the, you know, it's not hot, it's not as hot as A, but that spice just builds. And I get that sometimes. That's why I taste these in forward and reverse order, because the tasting order a lot of times does matter. This is a tough call. A wins on the finish. B wins on the mouthfeel. B is very well rounded. Very well rounded. But I think I'm going to have to give it to A. So I am probably wrong here, but yeah, I know these two bottles are very close, improved 95.8 and 100. So very close. This one's 113.5 or wherever it was. So it's definitely a notch up. This one just seems to be a little warmer, you know, a little hotter than the other two. So I'm probably wrong, and it doesn't really matter to me which one wins, but just a guess that this one might be the little Flamme. But that's my winner for today. All right, let's go through and check these out real quick. And you know, these were all very close. The only problem I had with any of them was the oak dryingness on C. That was the only thing that today was slightly off-putting to me. They all had good fruits that sometimes were in the forefront, sometimes were kind of hidden, and you know, I had to try to pull them out a little bit and all that. But they all had some fruitiness. They all had some sweetness. They all had cinnamon spice for sure. But this one just had some oak that rubbed me the wrong way today. Might not do that every day that I sip it, but today, compared to the other two, it did. So this is the Doc Swinson's. So Doc Swinson's comes in third place. Second place, this one I think was the most well-rounded of the three. Just everything about it. I always try to avoid using the word smooth, but this was the smoothest of the three. Just a nice, well-rounded sip, easy to sip. So this is the J. Henry. So nice, and that leaves the Joseph Magnus as the winner here. So, which is interesting. I think it actually has the best nose of the three. And it also had the best finish of the three. So longer, spicier, warmer. So it wasn't the proof. I was wrong on that. Yes, this is only 100 proof. So just that combination of that sherry and that cognac in here, that cinnamon spice just pushed it forward. So nice, very nice nose, very nice finish. Yeah, delicious. All right, I hope you liked what you saw here. As I mentioned earlier, hit that like button. It really helps. Leave some comments down below. If you've tried any of these before, if there's some other sherry or cognac finished whiskeys that you think might stack up to these, or be somewhat similar or different, let me know in the comments. But I'd love to have the conversation with you. Remember, everybody, all bourbon is whiskey, but all whiskey is not bourbon. The best bourbon comes from Kentucky. Cheers.